trial attorney Byron Browne for discussion on what we may see next in the mitigation case for the defendant. We expect Andre Warner himself to take the stand. His attorney telling the court yesterday he wants to take the stand and maintain his innocence, which he did during the guilt phase in the trial. He testified before that jury. The jury ultimately didn't believe him at all. They convicted him of the murder. But what do you think will be different this time around if he does choose to talk to this jury?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you hope there's a difference for his sake. I think the big thing, and we saw it just before coming over to this break here, you saw him kind of smile and you saw him get upset when his mom was describing about her being raped by her ex-boyfriend or current boyfriend. And I mean, those are the sort of things that he needs to bring out in front of the jury. He needs to give the jury a why, a reason why not to put him to death. And that could be taking things that his mother has said and maybe other witnesses have said and said, hey, these are the events that caused me to go down this particular path. And then I think he also should bring up his sisters, his other family members, and how they rely upon him for emotional support and how he's there for his family. Give them a reason why. Yeah, he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, but what can he do in jail? He needs to give the jury those particular reasons to the point that the jury becomes sympathetic, kind of puts themselves in his shoes to then be able to believe that he deserves another opportunity to at least live out the rest of his life in prison. But we look at him taking the stand in this first trial for the first-degree murder charges, and obviously he didn't win over the jury there. That's a totally different story than here, in my opinion. And so hopefully he can take a swing for the fences and he can salvage his life, essentially.
Yes, exactly. And during the guilt phase, he had this tough exterior. He was defensive on the stand, of course, maintaining his innocence in this. But this, do you think the jury, and this is 13 women, 3 men sitting on this jury, should he show a little bit of remorse? How does that play into how he behaves on the stand? He's struggling to even show emotion sitting at counsel table. He wanted a break instead of crying in front of this jury. Do you think if you were his defense attorney, would you just say, just let it out, let it go, be transparent in front of this jury because your life is on the line?
100%. That's exactly what he has to do. He has to come in front of that jury and lay it all out. He has to be authentic in how he explains what he needs to explain to the jury. If the jury believes that what he's saying is just a bunch of BS, then it's going to actually hurt him instead of helping him. So he needs to go out there and lay his soul on the line, essentially. Give the jurors reasons to be sympathetic, and they will be sympathetic, I believe. I think the gender of the jurors helps in this particular circumstances, although you can make the argument the opposite. But I think if he lays it out for these jurors in a manner that puts them in a sympathetic mind, where, hey, if I had a father, maybe I wouldn't have gone down this road. Hey, if these certain things didn't happen to me, maybe I wouldn't have been in the position I was to make these decisions. And now, if you give me a second chance, I can help out my siblings not go down the same road. Those are the sort of things. But it's going to come down to whether he can articulate them in an authentic manner that the jury is going to believe and accept.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Also, the defense says they're going to put on a few experts tomorrow, but today a Dr. McGovern, that's an expert testifying about bipolar depression, ADHD, IQ, mental mitigation. How would that maybe play a role as far as how this jury weighs the evidence?
I think that's probably going to be his biggest or key factor in possibly getting off of the death penalty. Expert testimony is always impactful. And what you've heard this young man go through has been traumatic. I think us lay people have a hard time understanding exactly how much that trauma affected him. But the experts who take the stand are going to do exactly that. And if they do it in the correct manner, that could be his biggest way of getting out of the death penalty.
All right. Thank you so much, Byron. My time is up. Our coverage of the penalty phase in the dating app murder trial continues. This is Court TV.